We have Bruce live in the locker room in Tallahassee celebrating on the field with the Florida State. And I don't know why, but like we were able to run the ball so well in the first half, especially to the left side, and then all of a sudden we started to abandon it. And like I said, there is some inconsistency.
How are they going to approach this game? How are they going to beat this Florida State team?
Well, we're going to break you guys.
Okay, that's it. The show's over.
In the story, we're going to break you guys. Look, and I'm joking, but it's true.
Lord, the climb continues, KB. Oh my God!
I am sweating.
Look at my heart. Look.
You know what? Yeah, I have so much to say. Alrighty, and welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. You can finally hear me now. Sorry. Instant reaction to the Florida State-Miami game. This game has screwed me up so much. I'm sorry. I'm not even drinking. I'm stone cold sober. Florida State wins 27-20. Like I said, here's my dogs. They're going crazy too because I've been screaming a little bit. But Florida State wins the game. Like I said, a close on 27-20. I think a lot closer than people expected. On this week's show, the old man is at the game right now in Tallahassee. That's why he is not joining us. He's probably trying to fight his way out of the stadium. We had projected it would be around 14 points to be close. I think some people thought it would be a blowout like last year. I think we learned that this Miami team can play, and there's still some things that Florida State needs to clean up. That was my big takeaway here. Yo, Jalen, what's going on? But what I want to say here is a win's a win. A win against your biggest rival in front of a lot of recruits is always good to show. And I think you showed some good things today. A win is a win, no matter how it looks. You're 10-0 for 2 straight seasons. That's great. That is great. That's a great achievement. Nobody can take that away from you. You're still undefeated. You get to move on to North Alabama. Take care of that next week, and then you have a chance to go 12-0 against Florida heading into the ACC championship game. Your playoff hopes are still alive, and that was a big thing that I tweeted. Like, you had what Miami had the ball last, and they would have the opportunity to potentially, basically, cancel your season, right? Our goals right now are not an ACC championship game. Our goals are bigger than that. Our goals are to go to the playoffs. And Miami had the chance at the end of the game with the ball in their hands to take it and potentially dash those dreams. But the defense stood up, and the defense stood up for most of this game, like they have all season, right? They make the big play. They shut down TVD, get the pick. When he's back, he gets on the field. They force him into the big pick, and you win the game. And that's what this defense has done most of the year on this big play here. Jerry Jones, great defensive pressure. The line finally gets home. As you can see, great pursuit on this play. I love this hustle. And Jerry Jones just picks it off. Once again, I think this is the reason why Miami didn't start TVD, because this would have happened 2 or 3 times during the course of this game if he starts. I think starting Emory was a good call, honestly, by the coaching staff of Miami, starting him instead of TVD. And I have to give that kid a hell of a, I know some people like to just bash on Miami all the time. I give that kid, Emory Williams, a hell of a ton of credit. True freshman, huge rivalry game on the road. I mean, I'm not saying he played great, but he wasn't the reason they lost the game. The way he put his body on the line, he didn't puss out. He put his arm on the line so that they could get that 4th down. All the credit in the world to that kid. And I hope whatever surgery he has or whatever, he's able to bounce back from it, because he seems like a leader in that. He could be a leader anywhere. But I want to give a shout out to him because I thought for what the position that coaching staff put him in, and that's this hostile environment at Tallahassee, which the fans clapped the fans at Tallahassee and Joe Campbell. It was awesome to see. And that's what's going to sell the recruits on Florida State more than anything else. This game, things, you didn't blow Miami out. It's always rivalry games can be tough like that, but the atmosphere was electric, especially watching on TV. Everyone could see it. It was an electric atmosphere. So shout out to the fans, the students, everyone who was there. It was electric. You could see that it affected this young kid at times. When we shut out Restrepo and that connection there, Restrepo, one of their best receivers, I believe, had 0 catches on the night. Yes, 6 yards. 6 targets, 0 receptions on the night. So you shut him down. So that goes back to and I'm going to be all over the place because I got a lot of thoughts going through my head right now. Phil, I wasn't going to say that outright, but I think that that's something that should be addressed. But Phil, to that point, I think that shows some of those recruits who are coming in or are looking to commit, there's going to be playing time available in some of these defensive back spots, right, next year. There's going to be opportunity for guys to make plays because if that play by Kevin doesn't get made, if he doesn't take that horrible angle on that back end, I don't think Miami scores again in the game. And I think you close out the game. Totally. I think you hold them to 13 points, which is a humongous effort by this defense. And the only thing I'm really, really disappointed in is one, that play and that pursuit angle on that. I don't know what he was thinking, but once again, it's a learning moment. 2, I'm a little bit disappointed that this offense couldn't close out the game. The red zone, the third down conversion percentage was horrible tonight. And that's 2 games in the row, like they pointed out on TV, against Pittsburgh and against Miami tonight. I think we were 3 for 12 on third down. 3 for 12 on third down. That is something that has to get better, guys. Whether you're playing against Florida, whether you're playing against Louisville in a couple of weeks here, we have to get better at third down. We have to get better on third down, right? The offense did what it needed to do, though. And that's the great part. They finally, in the second half, decided, hey, we're going to put the ball in Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson's hands. Finally, I was almost screaming at my TV. I was like, it can't be that hard to give Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman the ball, right? It couldn't be that hard. And then finally, in the second, they only had 25 combined yards in the first half. Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson only had 25 combined yards in the first half. How is that possible? But then you look at their numbers in the second half. He had Johnny Wilson at 25. Keon Coleman, he had a relatively silent night in terms of receiving yards, but we saw what he did on the kick return, was a big momentum shifter there. And then he obviously had the 6-yard touchdown where he just dominated the defensive back in the end zone with a big touchdown grab. So that's the big thing. They have over 100 yards combined in the second, or over 70, 80 yards combined in the second half, which is huge. And then Keon Coleman makes a big play when you throw it up into the end zone, makes a big play on the punt return. Huge play. And then Johnny Wilson makes some key grabs. Now, Johnny Wilson also has some key drops, which could have extended some of those plays and maybe helped close out the game sooner. On that third down, he had that key drop. That's Johnny Wilson at this point, though. Can we be disappointed in that? No, that's the player he is. And if you're going to put him on the field, then you have to come to expect that. He also makes big plays as well. So it comes and goes. And I think he had a pretty good night tonight. It was good to have him back. It was that tough run by the Miami quarterback. To your point, Mike, I don't think he got the first down on the replay, but I can't, the kid's got guts. The kid made a hell of a play with all, he saw 2 or 3 defenders in his face and he knew, I'm not going to be able to get this with my shoulder. I have to put my arm out there. That's the only chance I got this. And like you said, I don't think on replay that they probably got the spot. They should have got the spot and that game should have been over there. But once again, I got to give that kid a hell of a credit, Emory Jones, for making that, put his arm on the line, literally his body on the line for that team, for Miami. So credit to him. Corey says we can't afford to keep starting slow. We are getting that, inside the zone. An adjustment should have been made. Right, Corey, I totally agree with you. This offense continues to start slow. I don't know why. And I just pointed out the numbers. Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman only had 25 yards in the first half. I don't know how hard it can be to give them the ball. I thought pass protection was really bad in the first half. So that's probably a little bit of it. I think pass protection was pretty bad in the first half. I didn't think the run blocking was too bad in the first half. Trey Benson had some big runs. I thought Trey Benson had a very good game tonight. He was running hard. Some of the run blocking at times was a little suspect, but he made some good cuts when the holes were available. He had that break. He had 2 touchdowns tonight, really good breakaway speed, caught that big ball on the first drive of the game. I thought he had a hell of a game in the plays of it with what was available to him. Trey Benson had another great game. He's starting to come on more and more as the season progresses. So, shout out to Trey. I thought he had a great game tonight. with the chances available to him. And what that he had 16 attempts, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. You can't sneeze on that in that big 38-yard, I believe, touchdown, which is huge. And he got the majority of the carries. I think this is the first game where he basically doubled up to Philly's carries. So kudos to him. And we don't see a lot of rotation outside of him. No Hill in this game. No Keziah in this game. So it was a very short running back committee tonight. And Trey Benson got a lot of it, and that he seems strong throughout. He's built for this. So it was good to see him really be solid through all 4 quarters. But I agree with you, Corey. Miami was gashing us that first half, and there really didn't see any adjustment. Chaney, that guy in Miami, that guy has vision, and he was able to cut outside. And basically, he knew they were going to suck up the middle, and he just cut outside for those big runs. And he beat us 3, 4, 5, 6 times on those for basically 85 yards. But if I could see yardage in the second half, rushing wise, they weren't able to get that in the second half, which was a good adjustment. But like you said, wish we could have shut that down faster. I'm not going to keep belligerent this point because I want this to be happy. This should be a happy moment. This is a good night for Florida State fans. Like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't always have to look good, but you come away with a big rivalry win. These games are always going to be a little bit funky, right, guys? It's not always going to be a blowout like last year. But I'm happy to see the way this defense always comes out and is responding. You give up the big play, the bad angle by Kevin, but you come out and you close the game out on defense. And that's what I want to see. And they did it. This defense has played very well this season. I didn't see as many we didn't get as many sacks tonight as I thought we would against a younger offensive line from Miami. But I think that shows too that Miami's gotten better, a lot better from last year. They've recruited a little bit better. They use the transfer portal better. And that's something that we need to know going forward, that Miami's getting better and we have to continue to get better. And I think that's what Mike Norvell's doing with this recruiting class, and he continues to do in the portal. But this is a great night for this defense, great night for parts of this offense. Jordan Travis, he was 19 of 31 for 265. Sorry, I got to get my glasses. 265 and a touchdown. He had his good moments. He had his bad moments. He took a good number of sacks tonight. Some of those sacks could they have been avoided? Maybe. Could they have thrown the ball away? Maybe. But once again, he didn't throw a pick. He didn't fumble the football. He played clean football. And in these rivalry type games, the cleaner you play, the more likely you are to win the game, right? So kudos to him for playing clean football, make the right plays at the right time. I just wish we could have, closed out the game a little bit sooner, because I think in the red zone, that's where things really kind of shut down for us tonight. The red zone scoring is something that Mike Norvell, I think sometimes Mike Norvell gets a little bit too complex with the red zone play calling. Like we saw with Keon Coleman, all you have to do is throw it up to him, guys. All you have to do is throw it up to Keon, and he's going to 90% of the time, he's going to out-duel his man in the end zone. And so sometimes I think the play calling for this offense in the red zone just gets a little bit too tricky. And, I think it was one time in the third quarter, it was the short side of the field. We ran 3 plays to the short side inside the red zone. And they were all like these pseudo run plays, but weren't really run plays. And then we ended up kicking the field goal. And it was just like, it felt like a waste when you have 2 6'5", 6'7" receivers to not throw them the ball one time in that situation, especially when you're within 10 yards. And so I think that's something that the coaching staff has to get better at. How do we put our skill position players in the right positions to capitalize in the red zone, right? And that's not on Jordan. That's not on Keon. That's not on Johnny. It's on the coaching staff to help put these players in the best position to convert on these big red zone conversions. Because I think if they do, this game could have been 34 points, even 40 points, because we had our opportunities. And I think we left a lot more points on the board tonight. Knowles needs to sit one bad play. Yeah, I think you're finding some deficiencies in that defensive back end. And I think the good thing is that you have some guys that can fill in that position for him. And once again, this will all be reviewed, of course. They'll go through film. And I think, Knowles made that one play where they used him as a blitzer and he got his hands in his face, I think, tipped the ball. So I think, he may be better used for packages like that when they use him as a blitzer versus in coverage. So I think he has a role in this offense, or in this defense, sorry. But like you said, he made a couple of bad plays tonight. But luckily it wasn't enough. It wasn't bad enough where it cost you multiple points. But that one play in particular where you brought them back in the game late, that could have cost you. That could have cost you the game potentially. because that was the only thing they had going in the second half, really. That was the only really big play they had in the second half, was that bad angle on that defensive back end. So once again, I'm not going to harp on it. I think Kevin knows he made a bad angle. They'll review it. They'll get better from it. But I don't want to tamper down what the defense did tonight. The defense was very dominant tonight. I mean, and Miami has some good players. Let's not, George is a very good receiver for Miami. I think if he was in the portal, Florida State would pick him up in a second. That kid can play. 150, five receptions, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. That kid can play football, guys. And you knew between him, Colby Young, and Restrepo, one of those guys was gonna eat up yardage, but it couldn't be all three of them. You shut down Restrepo. That's kind of like the safety blanket for this Miami offense. You shut him out, and that was a key win. That's a key checkbox of how you win this game. Same with Colby Young. You shut him out of this game essentially too, with just 24 yards. So, George got his yards. He had his big plays, right? But outside of him, they couldn't get anything else going, especially in the second half, passing-wise. And now you could say, that's a freshman quarterback still figuring things out, but you made his life hard too. He made some bad plays himself. He threw behind some guys, stuff like that. But they were getting pressure in his face. Now, you may have knocked down the sack numbers you may have wanted, but you're, outside of when Kalen DeLoach missile shoots through that gap like he did so often. But you're getting pressure in his face. A lot of deflections, a lot of jumping hands. There was a lot of pressure, and you made his day rough. And you shut down 2 of their primary receivers, which, once again, give credit where credit's due to this defense. They closed out the game. They got you, brought home this victory. And I think that showcases for recruits, hey, if you come and you want to play for this defense, we're going to put you in a position to showcase your skills. Renardo Green had another good game. I thought Azaria Thomas had a good game. A lot of players on this team. I hope some linebackers are watching too, because we're going to lose a lot of linebackers here very soon. So I hope we get some linebackers who are ready to play football, because we're going to lose guys like Tane Bethune and DeLoach, playmakers like that. Some of those guys early in the first half were out of position when they overshot, I think, the middle gaps. But we need some linebackers who are going to be able to replace those playmakers. So I hope some of those recruits are in the crowd today too, because they're going to be needed in matchups like this next year in the years coming forward. So, yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say. I don't want to go on and say the same things over and over. There's just a lot going on right now. But like I said, I think the numbers are going to be interesting, because like you see here, I mean, you got outgained by Miami tonight, and it doesn't feel like it, right? It doesn't feel, in the first half, it felt like it when it was 10-10, and Miami, it looked like Miami could run all over you. But in the second half, it felt like you shut down the Miami offense. But then, but that's when, you scored 17 points in the first half, second half. So it feels like, I don't know. It didn't feel like the time you did when you look at the box score. So I don't know. I can hear the old man in the back feed, so I'm going to move it out here. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to what the true numbers look like when we look behind things, when we get the advanced analytics, so stuff like that. But overall, I think, like I said, my MVPs tonight would be Trey Benson, Mastromanno. That kid, kicking-wise tonight, he had 6 punts today of over 50 yards. Field position was a big part of this game. And when I say that, how many times did Mastromanno pin them within their own 15-yard line off some, and make that kid, that freshman, that true freshman, have to be in the shadow of his own end zone? So if I would have anyone break the rock tonight,